The government doesn't even need to go to a telco company to get to know where I am because of all the info that is out there about me.
Not even government.
Yeah.
Government, you're going far. Even you and I, your date of birth. So every year you're celebrating a birthday on a specific date, so we can tell. Then people also say where they live. So you can even say, so me, I've moved, I'm in this location from this location. So we can tell generally this. And some people go to the extent that even your motor vehicle, so you bought a new car, a new ride, so so you put it. So look at all these data points. It's not that somebody is using some hacking software. It's data that you and I have already placed online. It's usually critical, especially for children. If you have young ones under your care, to be very careful about what kind of information you post.
We saw our president signing off our health data. What type of data was going to be given and how can it be used for us or against us?
Actually, I represent an organization that we're in court, so I can't speak much about that process.
Is it possible to scrub off all my data points from the internet?
Kenya, we came up with a Data Protection Act, in 2019.
What protections does this law actually give them?
If you have to access somebody's data, one, you need to have a reason. Like, why are you accessing my data? For what reason? What are you going to do with it? Have you informed me that you're collecting my data? How secure will you keep my data? Who will you share my data with?
What are the worst violations you've heard about or you came across in your line of work?
Some are crazy. I think the most scary is where
Classmates, CEOs, Mkofiti, please subscribe on the channel. It really helps us. Today we're talking about data. Is it data or data? It depends on the group of schools.
Depends, yeah. Group of schools or polling station.
Or polling station. Today we're talking about data or data, and it's something that touches all of us in our everyday lives. And the common saying nowadays is they're saying data is the new oil. So I'm wondering who owns the oil? You know, with oil, it's either owned by a country or a region or a company, but we'll get to that. And with us we have Dr. Mugambi. Karibu sana.
Santi.
He's the foremost specialist when it comes to data and data privacy, and this is going to be an exciting conversation. And I'll just start from here. When somebody steals a car, we call that theft.
Yeah.
When somebody grabs land or steals land, we call that land grabbing. When somebody steals data, first of all, what do we call this person? and let's start from what is data in this modern world, and we're hearing a lot about data, and maybe let's start from there.
So simply, data is information.
Okay.
In simple terms. So different pieces of information on different things.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, there's data that we have a glass of water in front of us.
Right.
The water is either warm or the water is cold. Then, secondly, on the issue of what happens. So if somebody steals data, it depends on the context. It can be through a data breach. So mostly people say there has been a data breach. Yeah. So somebody has either accessed or there has been some malicious actors.
Yeah.
It's a hacker. Or you could lose, let's say, for example, you could lose your laptop or your phone and somebody gets access to it. And essentially, so when you say that data is the new oil, so when you look at this way, when you put petrol in your car, that petrol never comes back, right?
No, it's gone.
It's gone completely.
Yes.
But you see, data is not the same. So when you see data is the new oil, really, we are not saying the truth, because data we can use, and you see, like maybe in this room we are like 10 people. The data point, this is Phil. Phil is this age. Phil is male. Phil lives here. You see. So each one of us in a room of 10 people can use that data differently. Right. For different purposes.
Right.
But you see, oil, petrol, the one you put in your car, you can't put in my car. So we can't reuse. So it is also the issue of that, the nature of data is that it's very dynamic.
Yeah.
The same data point can be used by 10, 100, thousands of people at the same time.
Okay.
Yeah.
When we hear data privacy, we imagine hackers in hoodies. But in reality, what does data privacy mean in real life for us, everyday people?
So Data privacy is that so there's data protection, there's data privacy, but simply let's go a bit back.
Okay.
So like in the Kenyan Constitution, there's the right to privacy.
Right.
That you and I have a right for our personal information not to be revealed, that our houses can be searched, you yourself can be searched without reason.
Right.
And with that, Kenya, we came up with a Data Protection Act, in 2019. So what this Data Protection Act says is that data, it doesn't say that you should not access somebody's data.
Right.
So what the Act say or the law says is that if you are to access somebody's data, which is now we are moving towards data protection, is that one, you need to have a reason.
Okay.
Like, why are you accessing my data? For what reason? What are you going to do with it? Have you informed me that you're collecting my data?
Right.
How secure will you keep my data? Who will you share my data with? So you see, it gives you and I some control over information that relates to us.
Okay.
You see? But privacy is to the extent that nobody can have access. So we are moving, it's more of an extreme measure on whereby nobody has access. But data protection, we are saying, fine, we need to have a mechanism where data can be accessed for defined purposes, for a specified period of time, and that kind of thing.
Right.
Yeah.
So this conversation, people are watching it on YouTube as we speak. So what type of data is being collected by them? Because, I mean, for you to download YouTube, you have to log in at some point, and you're going to comment on this video. Please comment, and share. But what type of data is being collected in real time as we speak, as they are watching this? How can it be used against them, or how can it be used actually?
So let's start. Before even you get a YouTube account, you had a Gmail account.
Yes.
Right? You had a Google account.
Exactly.
It's called Alphabet, right?
Yes.
And with that, what kind of information they ask you? About your name, your age, your location.
Right.
And if you're paying for a premium service, there's details, there's financial details.
Right.
And sometimes, depending on the service you're accessing, they may also ask you to like provide proof of ID, KRA pin. Like these days, you have to pay you have to pay tax on the digital platforms. But for a normal mwananchi, you and I, when we just signed up for Google, what? Name, age, name, age, and location. And even provided an alternative email. So most of us, those it was either AOL or Yahoo or Netscape or those kind of things.
It betrays your age. Right.
Yeah, that's true. So there's that information that they have. So then what do? You and I said, let me start a YouTube account. So the YouTube account, they know, I mean, if you go home these days, if you put, or just on your phone, if you put YouTube, it's already recommended, and whatever it's recommending, you want to watch.
Yeah, true.
So they've already learned through the algorithms that what your preferences are, what you like, what you don't like, because they will tell, for example, how long do you watch certain content.
Right.
Like even you now, because you have a backend, you're running one that you're creating content on it. You can go to the backend and see, are people watching it 100% or is it 70%? What are videos are people watching? You can also tell the demographics.
Right.
How many people are young? How many are old? Are they Kenyans? And that kind of thing. So all this is data that YouTube has on you and I.
Yeah.
So for example, you ask that if I comment, so you can imagine if I comment, even if I've used a pseudo account, that account is linked to other information about me, like my telephone number, like my location, for example, my preferences, how I interact with the internet. That's why you find that sometimes, and I think also Google, Twitter, they give reports and say, like, sometimes Communication Authority or the government of Kenya ask them to reveal who are the owners of certain accounts. And these people actually, some of them are arrested and taken to court for whatever they are doing. So that shows you that
you've just touched on a very sensitive, but go ahead.
So essentially, it's a lot of information. So you can't escape.
Right.
In terms of you can't be fully anonymous. There are data points that can be brought together and say, okay, that is Phil. So even if you comment, all this, remember all this history, all this data that
Yeah.
you have been using. You also have signed in your, you and I have signed our Gmail accounts to other things. Maybe you've subscribed to Netflix,
Yes.
or to anything else, any other platform, which perhaps you pay for
Right.
through mobile money
Right.
or through bank card.
Yes.
So see, when you bring all these data points, they point out that yes, this is field, and this is field that is in Nairobi, and field that is in Nairobi is in Parklands,
Right.
and we're in Parklands within this location.
So ideally, you don't even need to. Two threads I want to pull from the answer you just gave me. One is about the algorithm, and two is if government wanted to track you, for example, and you said because of all the data points. So when we have all our data points out there, so the government doesn't even need to go to, let's say, a telco company to know where I am, because of all the info that is out there about me.
Not even government.
Yeah.
Government, you were going far. Even you and I.
Like a regular person can just.
Yes. If you have these open source intelligence tools. OSINT.
Hey, nilianza kuona hiyo jina Twitter. I'm like, hey, sasa. Open intelligence.
Open intelligence source tools. What do you call OSINT? Yeah.
Yeah.
Open source intelligence tools.
Open source intelligence. Yeah.
That if you put your email, for example, it can tell us where you've used your email anywhere. So whether you've subscribed to this, the accounts, where you are visible on the net, even something as simple as image reverse search.
Right.
If you take your photo and put it, like, for example, this is just free tools on the internet, and you do that image reverse, it will show you where your image appears all over the internet. This is not government doing, this is you and I who are doing it.
Right.
So look at it this way, and this is why, like, for example, you have corporate, depending on a certain level, where you're being hired on a certain level, they do these searches about you. Like maybe you're applying for a senior manager, maybe within a regulated space, they'll want to know, like, what do you say online? So even if you have used pseudos on your social media, they'll be able to, these open source intelligence tools will be able to link all these data points to this person, so they can tell what do I speak mostly online.
Right.
And will that, for example, damage the image of where I'm applying for a job? So now to move to what you're saying. So for example, if government wants to quote unquote have a conversation with you, they have all these tools. They can just do a simple search. And remember also, again, you and I and many Kenyans, we also put a lot of data about ourselves online.
Yes.
Simply, for example, when somebody is celebrating their anniversary, you say I'm celebrating. So we, and every year we know on the 1st of March, Phil or Laibuta is celebrating this and that.
Yes.
So that we have that data point. And we know who or with whom you're celebrating that anniversary with. What kind of anniversary? Are you commemorating maybe somebody who passed on?
Right.
Is it a wedding? Is it a graduation? So we can tell. Is it your promotion anniversary? Then also your date of birth. So every year you're celebrating a birthday on a specific date. So we can tell. Then people also say where they live. So you see, if you're moving on up, you want to show, man, I'm in a better location than
yes.
I'm in a better location. So you say, so you can even say, so me, I've moved, I'm in this location from this location. So we can tell generally this. And some people go to the extent that even your motor vehicle, so you bought a new car, a new ride, so you put it. So look at all these data points. It's not that somebody is using some hacking software. It's data that you and I have already placed online. We know your relatives. We can tell whether your parents, we can tell your cousins, your uncles, whether you have children. Some people even go to the extent where your child goes to school. It's online. You even show us when you're dropping the child to school. We can see the school and that kind of, and there's people even go to the extent you're sharing the report card. When you're unwell or I'm unwell, I'm also saying, you always say I'm in this hospital, on that kind of thing. So you see, at the end of the day, just a simple, actually, I just need to scroll on your, let's say, IG or Facebook, and I can collect this data. Am I a hacker? Am I in government? No. It's a bit different. It's a bit simple. So, so for people who don't post so much, then you can use these open source intelligence tools, or government has also higher intelligence surveillance tools. But generally, for a lot of humans or Kenyans, a lot of information, we put it online.
ourselves.
LinkedIn, for example.
LinkedIn, yes.
Where when you graduated, we know whether you have an undergraduate, whether you have a master's, whether you have a bachelor's. We know the clients you've worked for. We know the we know the companies that you've worked for how long, so we can average your age. We know whether you've presented at a conference and that kind of thing. We know who your colleagues are.
Doc, having this conversation always throws me in a in a fix, because the world we are living in, especially for us, for us to, even including yourself, for you to get biashara, for you to get business, for you to get gigs, for you to get jobs, you need to put yourself out there.
True.
So that means putting out your information, like what you've just said on LinkedIn. And then you're telling me also this can also be used against me. So I'm like, yeah. So now, how are we going to live and navigate in this world of ours?
But it's also used positively.
Yeah.
I mean, the company. Feel It Production. You have a website. You have content. I've watched a movie from your platform. For example.
Oh wow! Thank you.
You see. So if you don't put it out there, how am I going to know that it exists?
That's true.
I know that Phil is the producer.
Yeah.
Your profile is there.
Yes.
So there's good to it. But then also, as you state, it can be used by malicious individuals.
Right.
Somebody who might want to harm you, or for other cases. Or, for example, you're being investigated. Let's say you're an activist, you're a lawyer who does human rights work, then, or you're an opposition politician, then that data may be used maybe to track your movements, to know what you're doing, etc.
Right.
So technology is also for good. A lot of people these days, they work online through the digital space. We have a lot of remote workers. Your data being out there is very important. Like as I said, you have a platform where you put the content that you create online and allows us to pay and watch. So that's important. But also there is the negative bit where malicious actors can access that data and that information and use it for the wrong reasons. That may harm my reputation or your reputation, or somebody may actually physically harm you because now they know your movement or that kind of thing.
Right.
No.
This is one of those questions where I want you to tell me, is this a myth, or are we going to bust this particular myth? Something you mentioned about algorithm. Of course, on social media nowadays, if you watch something, then the same type of content will be pushed to you.
Yes.
So is it a myth, or is it true that, for example, TikTok, they say that the content that is pushed on us in Africa might be very different from what is pushed in China. Do you think this is a myth, or it's true?
No, it's true. Because different countries have different laws and rules. So you find, like, for example, some places, maybe let's say you've given the example of China, if you're talking about these issues of democracy, human rights, etc., that content will not feature within the Chinese platform. Are you getting?
Yeah.
Then there are also countries that have very strict takedown laws. That if you put harmful content, that country, the government can say, take down this immediately.
Right.
And these platforms must do immediately, or otherwise they are fined. But also realize the cultures are different. So also our interests to the Chinese are completely different. So definitely our algorithms cannot be there.
Watu tuna dance, tuna twerk,
lakini hiyo ndio ina trend.
Hiyo ndio ina trend.
Hiyo ndio ina trend, na hiyo ndio tunataka, because you see also the algorithm also sees
paka mnacheka.
Algorithm paying on what is it that you're watching for long? What clip do you watch from beginning to end? Or if you watch like for a few seconds and the algorithm knows, okay, this person doesn't like this. But there's content that you watch from like you have your favorite content creators where you watch from beginning to the end. Then there are some content creators you're like, you've moved. There are some dancing videos you'll watch from beginning to end. They also tell, and the algorithm also, we are the ones who train it. It just asks you, do you like this content? And most of the time you say no or yes.
Yes.
So it curates it.
Yeah.
It crafts it for you. The same as YouTube, for example, or X. So there are many things at play. There's the laws of the country, which is one. Secondly, there is our culture and what people mostly prefer. Like us, really. When after the weekend, there's a lot of political content.
Yes.
And we will watch it.
I was about to ask. Sometimes again, you'll confirm this to be myth or true. Does the government sometimes push content on us. For example, story ya udaku for some reason.
Okay, ngoja hata before ulize. Wewe mwenyewe do you push content?
Do I push content?
Yes.
Like
let's say for example, you've done a movie,
yes,
you've done a series. Do you push the content?
Yes, I'll push the content.
So why will government not push content that they want to push?
So because
it's a very simple quick. Feel it has done something.
Yeah.
You've done a movie, you are doing a series. You constantly, you even get content creators, correct?
Yes.
Who you get and you put into your contract and say, we are coming up with a new movie. You know? Feel 2026, come back. So you're pushing this content.
Right.
You're pushing it on IG, you're pushing it on TikTok, etc. And you're using people who you believe have the traction for this to trend.
Yeah.
And this you're doing it as affiliate production. Sinkweli.
Yes.
And you do that.
Right.
And you actually do a plan.
Yes.
You actually sit down with your strategies and say, this is how we'll push.
Right.
You even know the demographics. You know, the content that you'll push in TikTok is not the same that you'll push on YouTube because the demographics that interact with it are different.
Right.
The same, whether it's government or corporates, they do the same because also you look at it, the adverts you get on TikTok, on YouTube, on Twitter, and on TV, live TV, it's very different. They are curated. So the same, even political actors, politicians, government, will do the same, using the same rule book or the same strategy book you're using. Because all I remember, the people doing strategy are people who are your colleagues within the media sector.
That is true.
These were your classmates or your schoolmates. Or these are people you've worked with in creating content. So they know how to push it.
Yeah.
Classmates, a quick one. I know you're busy people, so I won't waste your time. But if you've ever wished sending money across borders was just simple, this is it. Step 1, send money instantly to anyone in 111 plus countries, straight from your SendWave wallet. Step 2, hold your money in digital dollars so it maintains its value, no stress. And then step 3, withdraw anytime to your local currency directly to M-Pesa. So whether you're sending money to support your family in Uganda, Tanzania, or Rwanda, or just saving in dollars, it just works. Simple. And now SendWave just introduced something interesting. It's called Refer a Friend. Here's how it works. Download SendWave wallet and create an account. Add a minimum of $10 and then use my promo code FEEL for the first time and get $3 credit. Refer a friend, and when they found $10 using your promo code, you get $3 and they get $3. A minimum deposit of $10 is required to qualify for the $3 promotional bonus. SendWave wallet. Simple money systems win. Now back to the episode.
Okay. Now that we've touched on the government and legal kidogo, Kenya passed the Kenya Data Protection Act. I just want you to break it down for the average Kenyan, for the creative like myself, for your everyday Kenyan who's watching this. What protections does this law actually give us?
Okay. So it comes from the right to privacy, that everybody has to protect the right to privacy. And this is whether you're in government or private sector, it doesn't matter. The right to privacy is important. But the right to privacy is not unlimited. It is limited to a certain extent. For example, if you're being investigated, you and I are being investigated for something by the government, whether rightly or wrongly, there's a legitimate reason where the privacy might be reduced for a specific purpose. And then we have the Data Protection Act. So the Data Protection Act, like I mentioned earlier, it puts some rules on how you handle people's data. So it provides for some principles. Like, for example, why is it that you're handling people's data? Do you inform people when you handle their data? How securely do you keep this data? For how long do you keep this data? How accountable are you for handling people's data?
Right.
And this is for the people who are handling data, whether as an individual or whether you're a corporate, a company, etc. Then the Act also gives us, the law also gives you and I, who are called data subjects, some rights. You and I have a right to be informed what our data, why our data is being collected and for what purpose, right? Secondly, we have a right to access our data. So let's say, for example, I have a right to go into government and say, I want to know what data do you have on me about my health. So say it's in a hospital, going to a public hospital or private hospital, you have a right to access your data. You also have a right to correction of your data. That if my name or my age has been recorded wrongly, I have a right to correction. I also have a right to say no to people handling my data. But of course, there are consequences. Like you say, you can't say that I don't want a birth certificate or I don't want an ID. So it's within an acceptable limit. Then we also have a right to complain to the data commissioner if your data has been handled in a way that is against the law or in a way that has harmed you. And why this law is important is also because today in the world, data, as you say, data is a critical component, which can be used for both positive and negative reasons. So that's why we have to put rules on how data is being handled and put in place mechanisms to remedy the wrongs that may be done regarding how my data has been handled. Yeah.
Okay. In your work, in your time protecting data rights, what are, if you remember any, what are the worst violations you've heard about or you came across in your line of work? You're like, hey.
Some are crazy. I think the most scary is where it relates to sharing of intimate images, especially for underage people. That is really sad and crazy. And even for people who are of age, somebody is in a relationship with somebody, they have been sharing intimate images, videos, clips, and because the relationship has broken down, the person decides to share this with the whole world. I think these are quite some sad situations, but also situations where people have lost all their earnings because somebody hacked into either their mobile money wallet or their bank account. You see, which we call the social engineering. Somebody is told, okay, somebody called you, we are calling you from this bank or this telco, what is your PIN, what is your age, and somebody actually discloses. And when you disclose this, and you can imagine somebody, this is saving or this is money, your business operating capital.
Right.
And the criminals wipe out all that clean. So there are a lot of sad situations. That is why when there's a lot of campaigns, excuse me. So you'll find there are a lot of campaigns by banks, by telcos, to tell us continually. Even recently, which was quite interesting, you find even Kenya Power sending texts. I think a lot of people receive those texts that if somebody is saying, wanataka kukukatia stima, please, no, the Kenya Power will not do that.
Right.
If somebody is saying they're coming to connect you or to do this, please, you need to be careful.
Right.
Because there are these criminal elements of people who will use that data for the wrong reason. People lose jobs because of how data is mishandled. Relationships break because
that is true.
Because of this. So there are a lot of negative issues. Then also, for example, especially I usually like to use this example: women when they use, let's say, taxi rating, when you hail a taxi through the app, and then this person starts, they know where they've picked you and they know where they've dropped you, and this person starts stalking you. Some have ended in people losing their lives, you see, or getting harmed. So when we talk about data protection or the need for privacy, it's because we know that it could turn to the worst case scenario.
I'm just trying to think how we can protect ourselves better, because I mean the points at which we leave our data, like for example, you've used a very good example. When I'm hailing a cab on an app, that means my number is there. I'll pay you probably using M-Pesa. So my details are there. You've seen where you've picked me and where you've dropped me. When I walk into any building nowadays, I have to sign in, leave my data there. And nowadays, I'm always, every time somebody asks me for details, I'm like, should I not? Yeah. But at the same time, I've seen legally in some cases where people's lives were saved because they left their data somewhere.
Correct.
Yeah. I've seen some cases where someone was accused of something, but they're able to prove that I was not there at that particular time. I was here, and here is the book. I signed in to get into this building.
Yeah.
And so, just the pros and the cons. And yeah. Sorry, it's okay.
So I think the thing that you're saying is that there are positive and
Negatives, yeah.
things to it.
Right.
But it's for us using the law to reduce the negatives as far as possible. We can't eliminate,
Right.
but we can reduce. For example, if somebody undertakes a data breach, action is taken against them. If a company is mishandling the data, let's say a company or a data handler, let's give an example of a company that collects a lot of data.
Right.
If they don't have policies, if they have data protection officers, if their cybersecurity standards are not correct, then they can be fined so that they can improve their systems to ensure that these harms don't materialize. Because the harms are real.
Yeah.
You and I perhaps may not have faced those extreme, but they're there and they're Kenyan. And I usually say some of these things, people's lives, it depends on people's lives. Like, look at an example of during their abductions, people actually lost lives.
That's true.
And there were serious, credible claims that they were being tracked, whether legitimately or illegitimately.
Right.
So that's why we have to put in place mechanisms that say, if, for example, you're investigating someone, do it within the law. Arrest the person, charge them in court, and use that data as proof that this person has committed this crime.
Right.
Instead of going through backdoor channels that now bring about harm.
Fantastic. Historically, big empires will control land or oil. Right now, they say the biggest empires, the biggest companies are the ones that control data. And if you look at the biggest companies in the world right now, look at Meta, Alphabet, Google, Amazon, Tesla is coming up. They are data empires. They're making billions out of it. I'm just a bit concerned because none of those companies are in Africa. And are we going to be judged harshly over a period of time that we as Africans are just, giving our data? We're just data producers. We're not even converting all this. Are we being controlled because our data is always out there, and so that is used to shape cultures and shift thinking?
I think the question is this: what platforms have we created for ourselves? And just an extreme example, here's an example of China. The Chinese created their own platforms.
That's true.
They have their own versions of these platforms, social media platforms that we use, that are controlled by the state. So for them, there is very little external impact or influence.
Yes.
But also that now has a negative in that it gives an impact, for example, to media freedom, to freedom of expression, freedom of the movement, etc.
Yes.
So it looks like if you tip it this way,
there's no win-win.
There's no win-win.
Right.
But I think on the point that you bring about is that these digital platforms, they're not African platforms. They're not housed in Africa, and that they collect a lot of data about us.
Yeah.
Of course, a lot of their business model was based on advertising.
Yeah.
That they collect this data and they use it for advertising so that they can curate your timeline and show you adverts of this and that.
Of course.
But also the challenge that because that there is no much regulation in Africa, then they can do whatever they want. I'll give an example. You see, in the European Union, they quote unquote, they don't behave the way they want because the European Union, the countries came together and created very solid laws to control them. But then there's also the argument of whether that stifles innovation. If you overregulate technology, then you're stifling innovation.
Right.
Because that's an argument. I mean, it's an argument that can be made. But also, the law can be used. You can innovate ethically. A lot of people don't want to innovate ethically. People don't want accountability and transparency.
That's true.
You want to be let to do whatever you want. But as we are seeing, I can give an example of, for example, recently there was a decision in Nigeria against, it was against Meta, against Facebook, on content online. I think the matter will be appealed, but they fined, they awarded damages to the aggrieved party.
Interesting.
I think recently in Uganda, the data protection regulator there made a finding against WhatsApp on how WhatsApp was collecting information about Ugandans. So there's sort of slowly and slowly, African regulators, African courts are making rulings or decisions against the irregular practices of these platforms. But you're right, they have a lot of power because of the data that they have.
Yeah.
Let's look at an example. Recently, in the US, it's been said that ICE are moving around with tablets with information about, almost all information about who they want to arrest. The location, the name, the photo, etc.
Yeah.
How are they able to do this? It's because of the data or data and digital infrastructure in the country. They're able to distill, collect it, and create a profile about an individual. So the question is that profile that is created, is it done for good or for harm?
Is it possible to scrub off all my data points from the internet? They say the internet never forgets. Tricky.
No, it's tricky because the internet never. There'll be your data point. Have you ever seen on like X when people say there's always a tweet?
It's true.
Or you find something that even you deleted, kumbe somebody downloaded. And that Phil, isn't this you? I'm like, I thought I
deleted
this. I thought I deleted this. But for example, in the EU also our laws, they have this right to be forgotten. When the EU, you can say you do not want certain data points to be accessible. If somebody Googles or does an internet search, you can't be found. But that is limited to the EU because if you do that search in Kenya, you'll find that information.
Right.
So you see, but the argument is also that the EU cannot have jurisdiction over Kenya.
That's true.
So the right to be forgotten can work, but it's what we call geofenced. It's geo-limited.
Right.
Because if a court gave you the right to be the right to be forgotten, it will all be based in Kenya. That decision cannot be for the rest of the world because the rest of the world is not bound by Kenyan law. That is why, for example, it's usually critical, especially for children, if you have young ones under your care, to be very careful about what kind of information you post about them online. Because you see, I think like for me and maybe you, when we grew up, there was no you did anything and everything. I mean, we were allowed to be children.
That's true.
And we say some things that we did, it's good that there was no digital infrastructure because imagine what we were doing when we were children and then there's evidence of what of that online. So especially for children, for people below the age of 18, is to ensure what kind of information is being put online related to them. Because when you put their images already online, their behavior is already online. So they do not have even that privilege to act as children because they are already being surveilled either by government or by private actors, these platforms. Because these platforms do what we call surveillance capitalism. They surveil you to know what product to sell to you. But at the end of the day, really, the internet never forgets. And that's why we stopped in the beginning, we talked about this open source intelligence tools that can dig deep and know what is it that we did 10 years ago and what is online about this and that.
Sorry, just something that as you were talking about the metas and the fun or the Americas. No, that is not the word I shall use. The developed nations in terms of accessing our data through, of course, these companies. So you just triggered something that happened last year. I think we saw our president signing off our health data. It was part of the conversation, but I think it was blocked. I had Dom Tata went to court.
It's still in court.
It's still in court, yes.
Actually, I represent an organization that we're in court, so I can't speak much about that process.
Okay. Yeah. Tell me if you can answer this. What type of data was going to be given and how can it be used for us or against us? No. Is that something you can answer?
I think because the agreement was posted online by the CS for health.
Yes.
It was basically about health data sharing. And then of course the challenge was that is this in line with the constitution? So we're in court to answer that question, whether the sharing of data between Kenya and the US is within the constitution and Kenyan law.
Right.
So and we'll once we do our submissions, we'll wait and see what the court says. whether the court, which way, whether if it's constitutional, then it's the project proceeds. If it's unconstitutional, then what next? But essentially, maybe out of that is to say that one of the challenges that I think we face is how do you transfer data outside Kenya? What are the safety mechanisms? What are the safeguards? If we're moving data of Kenyans, sensitive data of children, whether it's health data, whether it's biometric data of Kenyans out of Kenya to another country, how sure am I that that country will keep my data safe? Will they use it for the right purpose that we have agreed upon, or will they repurpose it and use for other reasons?
Yeah, because once it's out there, then they use their own laws.
Yes, correct.
Yeah, that's a risky one. It's a very risky one. Okay, do you see a situation where data rights will be just as important as human rights?
They're already human rights.
I mean, okay, or property rights.
No,
because I feel we still don't take it as seriously in this country.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
I think they're serious. Let me give if you go to kenyalaw.org and just search right to privacy, there are a lot of decisions by the court, from the Supreme Court to the Court of Appeal to the High Court, protecting Kenyans' privacy. Let me give you an example. This non-consensual sharing of intimate images, which a lot of people call revenge porn.
Yeah.
There are decisions by the court saying that that is against the law, and awarding damages to the aggrieved party. That if you're in a relationship with someone, you share intimate images, and one of the parties in the relationship decides to share this outside, that is unconstitutional because it's a violation of the right. To privacy. Another office that is making this for Kenyan to be aware is the Office of the Data Protection Commissioner. So if you go to their website, odpc.go.ke, you'll find a lot of decisions about Kenyans who have complained about mishandling of their data. For example, if you get a lot of spam SMSs, the Data Commissioner said that if you receive these bulk SMSs and you say stop and they don't stop, then that's a problem. If your health data is mishandled, for example, there's one where a delivery person, you see the way you get into an app and order medication.
Yes.
But then the medication comes, the delivery comes with what the condition, your medical condition. And that the Data Commissioner said also that is against the law. Or using, for example, photos of children for advertising. So you're at school, you take a photo of children, then you're using it for advertising. And the Data Commissioner said, no, you can't do that. You have to seek express consent. Also, content creators have been in court where they've said that your image, you see somebody just collects, okay, this is Phil, we can use, because Phil posted this image on their IG, then it can be used here, there. And the courts and the Data Commissioner have said, no, you have to respect people's privacy. And if for content creators, there's also a commercial basis. If you're using that photo or that clip for commercial basis, then you need to seek their consent and you need to compensate them.
Right.
And this issue also is gaining a lot of traction because some people call it that this is a city thing, but it's not, because people are losing money on their mobile money or wallets.
Yes.
On their bank accounts, or getting scammed to take loans that are neither here nor there.
Yeah.
That is why you're seeing there's a lot of campaign. Like I gave the example of KPLC. You'll find telcos, Airtel, Safaricom, and banks that are sending messages and doing a lot of awareness about the need to keep your PIN secure, to keep the details of your account secure. So it's not a random discussion. It's a discussion that is gaining traction because people are actually facing challenges and are losing money because of how they handle or mishandle their data.
You've touched me, man. You've touched my people, creatives. So I have to go there.
Yes.
And AI. AI is here. It's family with us. It's taking over.
Yes.
And I'm wondering what legal frameworks, under data protection we can use, because right now someone can take my image likeness, and my voice and produce content with it.
Yes.
And produce ads with it. In Kenya, how far are we in terms of, creating this framework to protect us?
First, we don't have a law. We have a national strategy, which is not a law. There are also currently discussions to have an AI policy. There are some countries, especially for content creations, that have gone a bit deeper. I think I'll use an example of China.
Yeah.
whereby you have to watermark. If you produce content using AI, it has to be watermarked so that we know.
This is
People
AI.
already know that this is created using AI. Of course, even currently in Kenya, where you don't need an AI law, if somebody misappropriates your image, for example, if they take because we can get a lot of content about you online.
Yes.
There are a lot of clips where you are speaking.
Yes, yes.
And we can create, so you can also sue one for violation of your intellectual property rights. You can also sue for violation of your privacy. You can sue for violation of your dignity, depending on how your image, your voice, and your likeness is used. So in as much as we don't have a law that is specific for AI, content creators can borrow or can look at various laws, intellectual property laws,
Right.
Laws about sharing of defamation. We have defamation laws that also you can use. I've talked about people commercializing your image without your consent or without due compensation. But essentially, we don't have a specific statute that we can say this is an AI law.
Right.
But you can pick from various laws together with the Constitution to articulate your rights depending on how your image, your likeness is used through AI.
Of course, the legal process or the laws don't move as fast as AI is moving. So, looking at it, what do you personally fear most about this AI era?
Come to think of it, I don't think I have a fear. I think my fear is that a lot of people are not moving as fast with the AI because, especially if you are within the working age, you need to keep in pace. And I think my greatest fear is that a lot of us, let's say in Kenya, technology will move without us and the world will move ahead, while us, which will make us not be as competitive as people in other countries. I like using the example of China a lot because for them they have created policies. For example, there are countries whereby children are interacting with bots and robots. They're creating robots in kindergarten.
Right.
Ask you, what are we doing at kindergarten? In China, for example, now, instead of doing a PhD where you create a product, you create a digital product, and they award you your PhD.
I saw that.
And the product must be viable. So you see the extent. These people are on these people are on a very different level.
Why don't we think like that? Why don't we move like that? What is?
I think we think about that. I think the us is the execution.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of technology that we use. For example, another example I give is that we have a lot of I'm sure you know somebody who has created a digital product in Kenya, whether it's a platform or an app, but they don't have the resources to scale it.
Yes.
Somebody tells you, hey, mimi niko na app ingine ni noma. So even when you look and this person demonstrates, you agree. If this product goes to market, this person, it will make an impact. And not even the money, it will make an impact. But then, do they have the resources to scale? Because in Kenya, another question we ask, do you have venture capitalists or investors within this space?
Right.
There are a lot of Kenyans, whether young or old, who are making a lot of innovations. But there's nobody, we don't have that capacity of people putting aside money. There's somebody who said, we have money, for example, to do flats and petrol stations and clubs. But if you told these people with this money, let's also invest this in our technology so that we can create our own technology ecosystem, say no. That's why you'll find that there are a lot of good innovations, but those innovations, they don't scale. You find like there's a glass ceiling.
Yeah.
So when you hear, like, for example, outside there, a kid has developed an app to track somebody drinking water. They've got an investment of $2 million. You've created a platform for AI for use by farmers across Kenya about crops, about the soil, about weather, etc. So it's bringing real impact to about more than 20 or 30% of the Kenyan population.
Yeah.
But you do not have the money or the resources or investment to scale. So definitely we'll always be net importers, the net importers of tech. So you look at it this way. There are a lot of Kenyans, for example, who do fintech. They've come up with a lot of fintech products.
Yeah.
But where is the money to scale? Where is the money to allow them to carry out R&D? So you find these people are still in the space of bread and butter. they're paying paycheck to paycheck. They're living on paycheck to paycheck
Right.
or payment to payment. But if we had created an ecosystem whereby there's serious investment for everybody within the universities everywhere, then these ones will create an ecosystem where we are using our own digital products and we're able to scale.
You know, you mentioned that as we were preparing for this episode, and when we decided we, as a team, were going to have a conversation around cybersecurity and data privacy. So, of course, you go online, you call whoever you can call to get cybersecurity experts, for example. Do you know, the sad part was, I mean, there are not so many cybersecurity experts, and there are even very few of them who put themselves out there. But the saddest part was majority of these people, I mean, the minute they graduate like this, they're out of this country. They've already been poached.
Yeah.
You guys are very few.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you see, it's simple. The issue of incentive.
Yeah.
If when I go back to the Chinese question, you see, when people are being told that their visas in the Silicon Valley will be revoked, what did China do? China say, come.
Yeah.
Come, actually, we'll give you a visa and you can stay and decide, just explore what you can do while you are here. But we are creating the infrastructure. So it's a whole ecosystem that needs to be created. But the challenge, that ecosystem requires money, it requires resources, and these are resources from private sector and public sector. From private sector is resources to say where to put investment into initiatives that are being developed. Public sector is to put incentives. What are the tax incentives of people who are developing digital products, who are creating software, who are creating platforms, who are creating apps and that kind of thing? What are the incentives? Are you creating for them like sandboxes? I think tax incentive, like tax exemptions or that kind of thing. Or if you hire young techies, that you get some tax rebates and those kind of things. So that policy needs to be there. Of course, in Kenya we have policies about this, and I think the government is doing this digital spaces across the country. But you see, you also need money to scale. It's fair enough to train people about their digital skills, but it's also another thing to enable people to create real products. Like, can we enable somebody, for example, to create something like PayPal in Kenya, or somebody to create an X or a YouTube in Kenya? Because perhaps it's possible. If there are countries that have done it, why not Kenya?
Right. Now that we are firmly in business, let's talk about business. The one thing we are constantly being told as founders in businesses is build a community. So whether it's online, whether it's emails, just collect emails, build a community, get followers, build a community. At what point does community data then become a legal liability? Yeah.
It comes a legal. One is if whilst you're collecting this information, are you transparent about it? Because a lot of people buy this data from data brokers. Then somebody will tell you, I can sell you 10,000 or 100,000 numbers or emails for 10,000 or whatever specific number. That is against the law, of course, because where did you find this information? So you find also where this information is sourced from. Is not through legal means. Kitambo people used to go and scrap those, those books for digital, where you've paid mobile money. Those books used to have a lot of details. So there are people who used to go collect. There are also people who go collect information from these books where we sign the security.
Yes.
There are people who hack into systems. I'm sure you've seen where government platforms where the data is seen is on the dark web.
Yes.
So that is the problem. But also, it's also if you are communicating with your community, how do you give them, or if you have been communicating and they tell you stop, I don't want this communication anymore, do you stop? So if you don't stop, then that's an issue. Then how do you keep it secure? Because if we can know that there was a data breach and the data breach was from your organization, then it's an issue. Because if there's a data breach, of course, data breach is not if it will occur, it's when.
It's when.
These days, it's really when.
About when.
Yeah, it's about when. So how secure do you keep your systems? I remember when you were young, we used to use a lot of pirated software.
It's true. It's true.
Used to ask, so uko na Kia, Windows, uko na Kia. I mean, that's how people used to operate. But now at this level, you can't do that. You have to use genuine and authentic software, because that one you pay like for firewalls, VPNs. Simple things like what passwords do you use? Is your password Philip Production 123, for example? I mean, there's an organization that we are doing an audit, and the password for their info account was the organization at 123.
And then you'll find this person using the same password across multiple.
Correct.
Lakini akituambia ni tu kweli. Mimi najiongea sasa, sijui kama ni uzee. Passwords, you want to put in a complicated password that cannot be hacked, but I'll not remember it tomorrow.
Same, of course.
Yeah, sasa. And then if I get an app to save my password, that can also be hacked, and then they get all my passwords, and then
that is why you use two-factor authentication. That is why two-factor authentication at least helps.
Or
having an authenticator app,
right.
At least that helps, because you'll find that I think I've seen content creators that have dealt with the ones who, for example, they say that their accounts were hacked. Most don't have two-factor authentication.
That's true.
So when it's hacked, then you don't get a notice or how that there's a problem.
Okay.
There's a problem here. So it's to look at what are the digital tools that are also available. Of course, even I can't remember all the passwords, but if you put two-factor authentication, have authenticator apps, then it's possible, at least to a certain degree, not 100%, but at least make it harder for the person who wants to get into your account.
We're always being told to click on these cookies. And I'm always like, when am I getting my glass of milk? Because every platform we go to nowadays, cookies. And the truth is, most people will accept cookies because it's
which
convenience,
you don't have
but we don't have to. Sindio?
But sometimes even if you say no, they still collect. You see, that's the problem. The fact that you've clicked no does not mean that, because there are also deceptive practices by some of these platforms.
Well, let's start from, what does cookies mean? Because I know majority of us are out there, we always see this cookies thing and we don't know what we are clicking on.
In simple terms, we can say it is a software that collects information about us. When we log in, our password, what is it that we've clicked, for how long, what is our location, etc. So as to make our experience a bit better or seamless. So if you go back to this website, it already knows what is it that you are clicking and that kind of thing. What is your interaction with this website?
Right.
So it's a software within the platform that allows for this.
So most of the time we click on it because we think if I don't accept, then my experience will not be the best. But it's not.
But sometimes actually some platforms ensure that if you do not accept, they make your experience very uncomfortable, so as to force you to accept. Those are, say, deceptive practices.
Right.
Right. Yes.
Anyway, back to business. So I am a founder, I run a business. In the business, I'm able to collect emails, phone numbers, payment details, customer analytics. So what are the compliance habits that as a founder, as a business owner, I should start implementing immediately?
Okay, let's even not start for. When you got out of the house today, did you lock your windows and your, let's assume there's nobody in the house.
Yes.
What did you do when you left?
Yeah, I locked the door, made sure the door is locked.
Windows?
Windows, nilifungua kidogo juu kunanyesha.
But you locked?
Yes,
and you confirm. Why did you do that?
Safety, security.
No, your car probably it has an alarm.
Yeah.
Why does it have an alarm and a tracker?
Security.
Security, right?
Yeah.
Do you need a law to tell you to lock your door? Is there any law that tells you to lock your door at home?
No.
Is there a law that says that you need your alarm system in your motor vehicle?
No.
Is there a law that says that you need a password on your tablet, the one you're using?
No.
Or a pattern? But you put it, right?
Yes.
Why?
Safety, security.
Safety, security.
Yeah.
So it's the same principles. If you're a business, do you need a law to tell you to put in place measures to secure your information, your database, and your structures?
No.
If you're waiting for your law to tell you this, then
there's a problem.
You are the problem.
You are the problem. That's true.
Because essentially, if you're a business, one thing that you last, like for you, you have a platform even where people may pay.
Yes,
as I told you, I've been on your website, paid and watch
Yeah.
watch some of your productions.
Yeah.
one, you are receiving money from people, whether they are paying through mobile money or they are paying through online online card and that kind of thing, credit card or debit card.
Yes.
You have to ensure that your platform is secure.
Absolutely.
Because one, you also want to ensure the money is coming to you. So you have an interest that if I pay, let's say if I pay that 100 bob to watch this, that 100 shillings comes to fill it, right?
Yes,
and nobody else will have access. So to put that secure, do you need a law to tell you that you need to keep your money secure? No. So essentially is to ask ourselves that in the industry that you're working in, how can you secure your systems? And your systems, remember, they are being run by human beings. And human beings, the weakest link mostly is the human being. Like for example, within your, let's talk about fillet production. Have you trained your people about safety? I mean, I think in your gear, for your gear, you're very clear that the camera will handle this, microphone, and it becomes an issue if somebody you find ameacha mic huko ama receiver huko, because you have a very clear protocol that when we are shooting, this is how safely we handle our equipment, because our equipment is valuable and is what we make money from. So you have a very clear policy on that. So it's the same on our digital platforms. If you're using digital platform, whether it's applications, website, etc., whether you're using cloud, you have to ensure that, I mean, let's say you've shot, I know you guys shoot and you have like, I don't know, 80 gigabytes or 100 gigabytes or I don't know, 1 terabyte of. You actually do some backups, right?
Yes.
You do a lot of backups and you ensure, you confirm that the backup of the backup is okay.
Yes.
And you even use passwords, you encrypt etc. Why do you do it? For the security. Because also you're doing this work for a client.
Yes.
And your bread and butter for the next X number of months depends on this production. So if it disappears, it means there's no bread and butter. So is to think about it as the business case to put in place very clear structures to secure our digital and physical infrastructure. So that you've trained in Fillet, everybody is trained, from the board, CEO to everybody is trained about, for example, if you are handling whether personal or company products, whether digitally or physically, these are the protocols to ensure the safety. Then do you have policies, for example, protocols where there is a breach? Let's say if somebody has lost a phone or a hard disk that has your information about the production you are doing, how do you react to that, and where it has personal data? Do get professionals who come take you through these processes and audit you just to ensure that you keep. You see, some people, we think it as an expense. Of course it's an expense to bring people to take you through this journey to compliance. It's an expense, but I look at it as an investment. Because look at it, if you lost that 2 or 20 terabytes and you didn't have backup and you've not brought a cybersecurity or a security person to tell you, to inform you how to secure, then what happens? So the people, the policies, the structures, then of course things like to ensure people don't use passwords like Fillet Productions 1, 2, 3. Having a password policy, thinking about things like two-factor authentication, using legitimate software, having VPNs, having firewalls, and that kind of things, and antivirus. Having very clear physical security measures, like where you are storing your things, how secure is it? Have you brought someone to take you through whether it's secure enough? So these are protocols that you don't need the law, because your bread and butter depends on the security of your physical and digital infrastructure. The law is only to show you that you can do more in this way. It's to chaperone you through that journey. And one thing people don't realize, you can't do all these things in once. You do it incrementally. Because also as an organization, you are growing. And if you're growing, it's also dynamic. Maybe before you had a lot of things that you are doing. Maybe now you're integrating even AI. So you also need to ask yourself, these AI tools that we are using, how secure are them? And are they for our benefit? Because you'll find that, especially for content creators, some of the platforms, AI tools, they say they can use your content to create, to do their own things. So that these are things that you need to pay attention to as you are making some of these decisions.
So in essence, you're telling me as we grow, we'll have another office in the company called the Data Protection Officer. vile kunaendelea.
Which can be, and it doesn't have to be somebody, it can be somebody who comes and does consulting. I'm sure, I mean, I think as a company, sometimes you do these retreats where you come and speak, what is our strategy for the next, for the next year? What things do you need? And you can just bring in somebody to come and take you through some of these issues, especially that are specifically tailored to the work that you are doing. Yeah.
You were talking about the two-factor authentication, and I was just thinking about biometrics nowadays, because now that's becoming the thing. You either use your thumbprint or your face.
Yeah.
Hiyo sasa hata ni information plus because now it's not even just an email or my phone number, it's my actual face that is sitting somewhere.
But is it something new? I mean, no, people who have private insurance, what do you need to authenticate that it's your insurance? Your thumbprint, right?
Yeah.
When you're taking your child to hospital, what do they authenticate with?
Yeah.
The thumbprint.
Yeah.
So is it something new?
No, not really.
Really, it's not something new. It's just that now it's creating quite some hits. When you're going to vote in an election, in a general election,
fingerprint.
what confirms it's you?
Fingerprint.
The
ID.
Fingerprint. I mean, there are different aspects. Of course, there are three things. There's your biometric, there's your ID, and there's the physical register. So there's some foolproof. If your fingerprint, for whatever reason, because there are people, because of their nature of the work, sometimes the fingerprints may not be visible. But generally, majority of the Kenyans, let's say like 90% will be in the elections will be identified using their fingerprints. Right?
Yes.
And there's no way two people can have the same fingerprint. And I think that's why, for example, I think maybe on this discussion, I'm sure you've seen that telcos are now saying to change your, for example, your PIN, not your PIN, your SIM card, that you need, we need to go to that. You need to go and provide your biometrics because it's a safety measures. You know, these days there's this thing called SIM swap. Somebody is saying they're just seated, you're trying to use your phone, you are like, the network has disappeared. What is happening?
Yeah.
Kumbe, there's some characters somewhere they have done a SIM. They have done a SIM swap. So the argument is that if you say biometrics, that for you to go and swap SIM or to go and unlock, you need to go and provide your biometrics so that you can know it's Phil. It's not somebody else. It's not somebody else. So really, it's not something new. The only thing is that these people handling these biometrics, they need to be assured that their systems have put the highest level of available security.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, we've touched around technology and the digital space a lot.
Yeah.
So these are just quick fire questions just to hear your thoughts. What's the one technology that's exciting you about the future at the moment?
I think the future for me, I think is this autonomous tools whereby, you know, I was reading about, there's one of the largest consulting companies in the world.
Yeah.
It's a sad and it's also an exciting case in this way. So let's say they had 100,000 employees or 1,000 employees and half of them have been laid off, unfortunately. But they've paired the existing employees with what they call AI agents.
Yes, they're being called agents now.
Yeah, so if you go to work, you have your AI agent that automates a lot of things for you. So for you, it's to decide the critical. So those mundane issues of setting up a meeting for this or there's an agent. So I think technology that makes our work easier, especially as professionals, I think that is welcome and it's quite exciting.
Yeah.
But the unfortunate bit is that if you're not in pace with these technologies, then it means that you might be redundant in the very near future. So it's for everybody now to know within your area of work or your sector, how can I leverage on this technology?
Right.
Yeah.
I think 3 years back I was in LA and I met a robot delivering food. For me, it's what you're talking about autonomous. By the I stared at it. By the inafika kwa barabara, it can read the traffic lights. Where it's green, it crosses the road.
Yeah.
I was like, this cannot work in Kenya. Someone will eat your food on the road. Somebody, you know.
Yeah, I think it's usually fascinating. So when I first saw that in Singapore, but it was in the hotel.
Yeah.
So instead of going downstairs to get some water, so you just press the car and it comes and it's outside there and it actually
rings the doorbell. Yeah.
I'm like, okay, all right. So, and I think one of the things, so if you watch, like, for example, so I watch a lot of YouTube, especially innovations on tech.
Yeah.
And when you look at what is happening, like those tech conventions, they look like they look like science fiction, but it's actual reality.
I saw just the other day, this was the Chinese, those guys, my God. They did a whole stage play, a musical with robots.
I saw that.
And they were dancing and they were in sync with the humans.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my goodness. You know, the argument so far has been that AI will just replace consultancy jobs, like, you know, what you do, for example, or what I do as a creative. Now AI can write scripts. And so people who thought they'd be safe are technical workers, like people who work with their hands, you know, plumbers, painters, chefs. You know, we thought they'd be safe, but now I'm seeing the way robots are moving. I swear, robots will be fixing our plumbing very soon.
But you see,
not too far-fetched.
Technology does sometimes not understand context.
Yeah,
Let's say if you're writing a script. I mean, I think if we go to ChatGPT now, we can create a script. You can create a script.
Yeah.
But you see, that script will have a lot of gaps. It doesn't understand the Kenyan nuances, the mannerisms, the culture, and that kind of things. So they still require you, a human.
But if I keep feeding it, the nuances and the culture.
But you see, it's never perfect. Somebody will realize there's a gap here.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. One technology that scares you in the space that you sit in.
Use of tech in warfare, and I think we are seeing it now in the world. Whereby somebody is actually seated, either using a laptop or. So you can imagine somebody at home in shorts, shooting missiles to kill children in a school. I think that's or killing. That's quite scary. Yeah. So
I mean, we all of a sudden in the middle of a war.
That is very technology heavy.
Yeah.
So of course that really scares me.
Yeah.
That's quite worrying. Considering that, as somebody asked, so here in Kenya, what missile protection system do you have? So labda tupige nduru. Yeah.
By the way, I think as Africa, we just survive by the mercies of God, because one country that's getting the data governance right in the world, that you think they're doing well?
I don't think there's one that's getting. I think you can pick good things here and there. The European Union have very good laws, but you also find that the innovation is not the innovation slowed down. But you know, there are countries like, you look at maybe like Singapore, where there's a balance between innovation and the law. For example, you look at the US, the innovation is very well, but they don't have the policies to create those guardrails to ensure that these people don't do the wrong thing.
Yeah.
Then you have a place like China, whereby they have the policies, they have the technology, but then there's impact on other rights like freedom of expression, democracy. But sometimes somebody asks the question, if you're innovating and you're getting people out of poverty, shouldn't you allow like for some stifling or some rights? So essentially what I'm saying, that there are good things you can pick from different kinds of countries, but you don't find one that has everything.
Right. Fantastic. One law that Kenya urgently needs in this data world.
You know, the problem is that my issue is usually that we usually see the law being the solution. But you see, solution is also about culture and the ecosystem, because the law does not create an ecosystem.
That's true.
And I think, like, let me give an example. Like you creatives, you've been saying that an enabling environment is not created by the law.
No.
It's by humans acting in a specific manner. Right? We have the Kenya Film, we have the Film Act.
Yeah.
We have different boards and regulators. But if they don't act right, then the environment or the ecosystem is not protected. Like even that simple thing of saying, should creators take videos or clips in the CBD?
Yeah.
should they be harassed? Something as simple as that. So I think the ecosystem is, for me, is more of human intervention, more than just creating a law to react to all this.
Right. One habit that every Kenyan should start adopting or practicing online.
Hey, Kenya. We're talking about Kenya.
Yeah, we are a special breed.
I think you just thinking twice before you post personal content. I know that's far-fetched because of the content. You know, like sometimes I usually say that, and we always say, you know, if you put yourself online, then we need to track your life. So don't come and say that now you are private. What do you mean your life is private? But we've been following your life for the last 10 years. Ni sangapi ilikuwa private?
It's true.
And you see, so, but I think what is important, what I can say, especially for children, people below the age of 18, for them, let's just protect them. If for the rest of us who are adults, you do whatever you want. But for people below the age of 18, I think we can protect them better. Yeah.
You spent more than a decade protecting and shaping policy in this space of data privacy. 50 years from now, 100 years from now, when historians look at this moment in this digital revolution that we are in, do you think Africa will be remembered as a continent that protected its people's digital freedom, or one that unknowingly gave it away?
I think, I don't know, because what I'm saying is that there are regulators who are doing the right thing. But also there's then the political class that needs to, you know, also, I know it's cliche to say this, the political goodwill to move. Because the European Union has been able to protect themselves because they've come as a unit. You know, they are protecting themselves as a bloc. My hope is that as Africa, we'll protect ourselves as a bloc.
Right.
There are countries that have laws and regulators who are taking action. Kenya, say if you see the work of the Office of the Data Protection Commissioner.
Right.
For the 5 years they have been here, it's been amazing. The Ugandan Data Commissioner is also doing Data Protection Office.
Uganda.
Yeah. If you just search a decision, Uganda Data Protection Office against WhatsApp, you'll find a very good decision challenging these digital platforms. So there's a movement, but the movement is slow. But it all depends on the political goodwill. You can have all these regulators and technocrats, but the politicians, the heads of states, the heads of government need to come together. But they're also dynamics. You know, in Africa also we are not together in that we have the Francophone, we have the Anglophone, we have the East, West, South dynamic that sometimes make us not unite on a specific issue. But there are discussions, for example, on the digital trade protocol, EU data framework. Maybe that will bring people together. I don't know. I mean, I'm just being cautiously optimistic. But I think, as you say, as you go back to your question, in 50 years, perhaps we'll say that there are countries who made concerted efforts, concrete efforts to protect and it's not just to protect, also to support the innovation within the ecosystem. And I think that's also part of protecting. There are some that moved to protect, there are some that were lukewarm, and there are some that were like, okay, and did nothing.
Okay. Dr. Mugambi Laibuta, thank you so much for your time. This has been an amazing conversation. No, it's been an hour plus. I didn't even realize. That's when you know the conversation has been really good. CEOs, classmates, I get to sit with very phenomenal guests right here. And what we realized over time as we were doing our conversations on becoming CEO is that if we start decoding or just finding out about our guests will take like an hour just to go through what they've been able to achieve. Like Dr. Mugambi Laibuta, his qualifications, my goodness, when I say he's the most forward-thinking person in this particular conversation, the thesis is written, the articles is written. It's so much. And so because of that, what we did with the team is we've started a website now. It's becomingceo.africa. So go to becomingceo.africa. On there, we have CEO personalities. And on that particular page, we will now give Dr. Mugambi's profile in detail. Because if we start giving it over here on this platform, on this podcast, we'll spend like half an hour or an hour just going through his work. And so we thought that might be wise. So the link is over here on the description box. Click on it, go to becomingceo.africa and get to read more and see more of the works that Dr. Mugambi Laibuta has been doing. But thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it.
I also appreciate it.
I know this is a conversation that we will need to have again and again. So if we invite you, usichoke tafadhali.
Yeah, I appreciate the invitation. And just to say, you know, this is an ecosystem that you're creating. Maybe one thing that I didn't say, I'm the chairperson of the Data Privacy and Governance Society of Kenya.
Right.
So even as we have been discussing, as we've been debating or discussing issues of cybersecurity, AI, data governance, and data protection for the last 10 years, in the last 3 years, we have created an ecosystem for ourselves where we call it the Data Privacy and Governance Society of Kenya.
Right.
And this is a society that brings together practitioners within this sphere: data protection, data governance, AI, access to information.
Right.
From public sector, private sector, civil society, academia, university students, to discuss about these issues. Because it's also an area, I think one thing we forgot to say, it's an area where people are finding employment and business opportunities. There are more and more people providing cybersecurity consulting services, data protection consulting services. So I think for the people who are looking for a career shift or business opportunities in a different sphere, then this provides the digital platform. Apart from including being a creator, a digital creator, you can also be a consultant. I mean, you can be a consultant about data protection within creatives. That can be your role.
Right. Thank you so much. I think we'll also put a link to the data.
It's dataprivacyke.africa.
Dataprivacyke.africa. So we're going to put that link on the description box as well. Just click on it and see all the opportunities that you can get in there and join the community as well. This has been an amazing conversation. Please subscribe, keep engaging with us. We want to make Becoming CEO better. In fact, we want to start having this conversation in front of a live audience. I know I've been saying it, but this year we will make it happen, because I am sure if we were having this conversation with a live audience, they'd have more questions for Dr. Mugambi, and that I think will just have been amazing. Sawa sawa. Till next time, thank you so much.